Okay. Okay, today's question we will discuss on what is scope creep and how to calculate it. So to me, scope creep, I'm not sure about the calculation part, but the scope creep is nothing but something which is missed out from the scope or the requirement document. Is that right? So how do you address that? So anyone have much information on this one?
Not me, at least.
Nagesh, Robert.
Okay, so so far, initially when I understood scope change and scope creep are same, but later stage I thought, okay, both are little different, but the meaning is changing something. So scope changes officially we are informing the stakeholders and the people whomever is involved, and we are changing something with their opinion. So scope creep is on the flow that we are changing something without noticing everyone, or unofficially it is done and it affects project scope. So I think that is scope creep, is what I understood, but even I need more information on that in this forum.
Yeah, but are you currently doing addressing that? How are you doing it?
Now, no. So for us, there is a metric of scope change only. We haven't encountered on scope creep till now, because I have worked on what is short term projects. There is no possibilities of having a scope creep. Everything is transparent only. But I didn't experience in real time how we have to calculate the scope creep with a project, or who will calculate it, and how what are the steps that we can take it up for mitigating the scope creep. Have no idea, but so far my perception was both are same. That's what my intention, and I was when I was being in the team, the change and creep both are same, is what I was going through. But later stage I found it was different. So I have an experience in real time about creep.
Okay. So you mean to say all the projects which you're handling, if there are any change, you make it as a change request. Is that right?
Yeah. So if it is already done, then it could be, if it is production, by then we are doing something, then change the request. Or if it is middle of the sprint, we are committing towards some goal and we are in the track and something is changing in between, that is also a kind of scope change. So in that, we haven't raised any change request so far. So maybe in that is officially we are doing it. So change request is the official thing that we are going with along with the process. So creep maybe without having official notice that we are changing, altering or something, is what I understood.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Selvi, do you want to pitch in?
Okay, so scope change and scope creep are different. So scope change is something like what happens when we commit on a particular sprint goal and work on the associated work items of the sprint goal. Sprint execution happens, and a team will be working on the related implementation of the stories. In in a particular day, what happens? Product owner wants something to be added in addition to the existing work, something to be added, which is actually extending the scope. Now what happens, this extension of the scope will take some more time, or maybe the work what is getting added has some kind of uncertainty, which actually we need to take it, but at the same time we need to plan that how to mitigate that uncertainty also. And there is also chances the complexity of the addition is more, the piece that we are going to add has a lot of complexity with the code, which we have not prepared initially, now it is coming. So this is a scope change. So what happens sometime, we will, there are two options in this. Without disturbing the overall plan, we can even take the things into account. That is one option. Or sometimes what we will do, we will add this and we will ensure, because always we will not make neck to neck commitments. So we will always have some buffer in situations like this when this arises. So now, whatever the extension of scope that has been added, we need to think about how much we need to plan the effort. Effort means not only the uh, manual effort or the working effort, it is all about the estimation. What is the estimation change that will happen if we are looking for this extension of the scope? Definitely, if there is uncertainty, if there is complexity, and the work is also there to be taken care from effort point of view, obviously from 5 story points it may also go to 8 story points. Now the overall sprint backlogs commitment also gets increased with the story points, and always this we will be measuring with the help of the story points, scope change also, scope creep also. So now what happens, the first thing is, what is the addition that we have added? Can we remove something? Like for example, when we say that this particular story got some extension of scope, the same equivalent story, there is a 3 story pointer, we have not yet started working on that. Can we pull out that so that we are not getting anywhere disturbed because of the extra work, from the time and management point of view, not from the deviation point of view? Of course deviation is there, because now the person who is working should understand what is this extension area, and they should concentrate on that and work it. But still, from the management point of view and timing point of view, will we be able to take something out and add this additional extension? This is one option. This is not going to bring any kind of changes in the story points. This is a safe game. Like from the commitment point of view, nothing is changed. Only one story has been moved out, which comes under the category of what we have committed is not the same from day 1 to day 5, because we are removing one story itself. Now let's take the another scenario. We have removed certain things, like there is a scope. For example, in login page you have forgot password option also. Now this forgot password option itself is not going to be there. Product owner is telling forgot password option, we no need to have this, because it is all about you are entering your user mobile number and password. So if automatically you enter the wrong password, we should be sending the OTP or some mechanism to change your password. So we don't want that forgot password concept at all available right now. But we have planned all those things, forgot password, clicking on that, send navigate to the next page, then enter the username, all those things. Now all those things have been removed. Now this will reduce the commitment. Even though it is part of the story, we need to really capture this, what is the scope change that is happening, because these all things would have been written in the acceptance criteria. So the first thing is acceptance criteria will go for a change, and those things should be removed now. And this removal, again, we need to call the team and ask for re-estimating the story that they have already estimated, because now the scope of the story has been changed, which has been actually reduced. So now let's take from 8 story point, they came down to 5 story points. Now another option is there a priority item in the product backlog which is ready to come into the sprint backlog with less effort? When I say less effort here, refinement effort or the DOR checking effort. Like it should not take one day again sitting and wasting time on like, oh, this doesn't meet a DOR, add this, add that, and sitting for refinement and understanding that story. That and all, if we are building, please do not take up that activity, because that won't give any value at all. If we are ready with any information and team has complete information about that, just to pull that from the product backlog to sprint backlog, still it will flow through. Then those kind of items, pick that up and start working on it. Now also you don't have any changes. You don't have any particular thing called changes in the story points. These are two situations which will happen, which will not make any changes in the story points commitment. Only in the story number of stories commitment it may make a change. Now let's come to the calculation of how scope change happen and creep happens. So this is scope change. Scope creep is something that if there is something coming on the we are working on something, it completely got nullified. Okay, it is not going to be available at all. We need to the requirement became obsolete and we need to remove that. Or there is a situation, instead of something, completely one more item is getting added. That is scope creep. And what is the difference between change and creep is change is something that already we have committed and some changes are happening within the planned items, and because of that we are adding or removing certain items. That is normal scope changes in the scope what we have committed for. Whereas scope creep is something that, as Magesh mentioned, it may not be even aware to us that's happening. That is the really alarming stuff, because if we are not aware and things are keep on getting added, we will not be able to complete our committed work items, and we will be still working on the work items thinking that okay, I am actually still on the scope. But that is not the situation. You are unknowingly getting added with so many things. How this will happen? Generally it will happen during intermediate reviews or design reviews which will be happening. The scope of the work item itself will get changed. Like we thought of something and it will end up in something else, and still we will be working on that. That means, yeah, we are accepting the changes, we are welcoming the changes, but how to manage this? If every time this is happening, where it will end? So now that is the place where we need to put some measures. We need to calculate this scope changes that's happening and scope creep that is happening. Scope changes, it is easy because it is much available to people on the information side, that they will be knowing okay what are the changes that's happening, so it's easy for them to calculate. But in scope creep we need to really manage a situation where how to how to really know that whether it is getting changed. That is the challenge. So now first let's understand how the scope changes will be getting calculated. So we have something called as a sprint, and in that we would have committed for x number of stories. So what is the number of stories that got added? Okay, so either it can be added or removed. So three factors you need to consider here. So you have something called as commitment, plus there are chances it may get added, there are chances it may get removed. Okay, so these three factors, so you need to ensure it by the denominator should be always committed. In the commitment, what has been added, what has been removed into 100, that is your extra changes that happen in the term of either scope increment or scope decrement. So scope change will have either scope increment percentage or scope decrement percentage. Sometimes with 0% also scope changes will happen, that we have discussed. So any questions on scope change, or you people are doing something different?
No, this is same. Yeah.
No, Sylvie, nothing from mine.
So,
Clear.
Selvi, basically, you are saying that the variance divided by the original scope 400. That's what is the change percentage, right? That's what.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Variance is the delta value that either gets added or removed.
Or removed. Okay, got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so this is how we calculate the variance percentage. That is the total of what is getting added or what is getting removed as part of the committed items. Now coming to the scope creep. So first, yeah, as now we discussed this, let me put back the question. If someone wants to add anything about scope creep, how you are calculating?
We actually change it, take it as a change request, but scope creep, no, I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, the same change
Calculation.
control mechanism in the traditional project management model is the same with the scope creep, Madi. That's what I also understood. There is nothing to change. So what I practically follow, how it is getting calculated is, we calculated it in the number of change requests that we get. In simple terms, I'm telling, but we don't use the word as such change request. We use it like what are the additional things that are coming up, completely different from what we have planned in the sprint backlog. Like scope change, it was a different scenario. It was a minor changes or the minute stuff. But here we thought of something, suddenly the either the priority changed, or it is because of the current situation changes in the market, or because the product roadmap got deviated from the planned set of requirements. It can be because of anything, but the plan of calculating that is just to ensure that what is the root cause of this scope creep that is happening. Either we are not really knowing the priority and planning the work items, or there are too many changes that is coming up after we kind of freeze the product management side work items, or the things are keep on fluctuating, that because of that the priority is also changing every now and then, which is not allowing the team to focus on the roadmap. So these things are our outcomes that we try to understand from the scope creep calculation. So this calculation is very simple, that's why I took that first. It's very simple in my case. That's the reason I put that question also, if someone has a different opinion. So generally, we don't calculate this as part of the number of story points that are getting added or removed, because generally this will be mostly a change that happens, and it is not a simple item that can be removed or added. It will be a new story, or it can come as a new change request. What Mandi has mentioned, it will be a change request that's coming, that brings altogether a separate set of thing to work it on. So we cannot just re-estimate, and how we found in the scope change calculation, how we got a simple formula and got it. That is not going to work out here. So here our main thing is not more than story points. We want to ensure what is the root cause of this scope creep. That's the point number one. And point number two is how often it is happening. Like every sprint it is happening, we commit on some sprint goal, and the sprint goal itself is getting deviated because of the backlog items. Sprint backlog items are getting changed. That is the second thing. And the third thing is like, what is the issue from the product backlog to sprint backlog. Like for example, when we create a product backlog, we create from feature by feature, we plan the sprints, stories for every sprint. For example, this feature should be getting completed in second sprint, this feature should be getting completed in third sprint. So now, because of this changes, what is the effect that is bringing up in the overall product roadmap? So why are we not able to understand that and planning this? That question also we should ask to ourselves. Like, because we would have planned in such a mindset that okay, we should complete feature 2 in so and so sprint, feature 3 in so and so sprint. Now, why suddenly a new requirement which is out of the box is coming into picture? That is also another question. So here we generally calculate. In my case, how we are calculating is, we generally take up this, won't happen often. Again, I'm stressing, that's the reason we don't go with the story points or what is the change, what is the variance basically it is happening, because it won't help us in any case. Here, if the scope creep is happening, it is altogether a new unknown feature that will be getting prioritized and sitting on the backlog, sprint backlog now, where team needs to spend on the refinement during their execution and understand that and start the execution. That will be the level of scope creep that we can imagine. So this won't happen every now and then. If it is happening, we should calculate by the number of items that are flowing into your sprint backlog. Number of items, not the story points, because you may not be aware even the story points. If it's an unknown feature, how you will be able to tell that what is plus, what is minus of the story points? We don't have the clue. So here, how many such work items are coming into your sprint backlog after your commitment, and mainly what is the root cause? Here, not finding the number, not finding the complexity of work is not going to help. Why it is happening is the question we should ask. And this should be mentioned in all your sprint reports or closure reports and the metrics, so that it will give much more um, a kind of highlighting factor for the people, so that there is, okay, every sprint the scope creep is happening. So what is the issue? We are doing good amount of refinement, we are doing a good amount of planning. Why are we not able to plan this? What is stopping us in doing that? Is that priority change, or what is that really we want to understand? So that's how we will be calculating this. So generally, in the title itself, you should make sure these kind of work items in either a label or with a title, something like added or unknown or change request, whatever the word it is comfortable with, please add with that, so that it will be easy for you to understand how many such items are getting added into the backlog, both product backlog and sprint backlog. Product backlog, it's fine because we will refine and make it as a DOR meeting work item. But in sprint backlog, if it is directly coming, why it is coming, so that we need to mention. So scope change is different, scope creep is different. Okay, so scope change, we will use it with the help of story points, because either we remove or add things and we will try to match up with the things. But here it is not the same. It is completely an unknown thing, and we don't have any clarity on how we are going to manage it, or certain things that we have planned, suddenly it became obsolete, and that also changes the overall backlog, and team will be kind of deviated. So that is how we need to manage creep, and the other part is the change, which is different with the formula. This is what I just want to share.
So Selvi, if you look at the classical project management, right? Scope creep is where you get you are kind of you commit to more work without considering the other implications of that particular work. So you may accept to do more work without considering how it affects the other phases of the project. Now that is in case of the classical project management. So how do you link that with agile way of working, where we are more committed to working on the changes, right? If you look at agile manifesto, it is more about responding to change than valuing the following the plan, right? So how do you say you are agile and you are still having this mindset? So how do you differentiate that, Selmi?
See, one point what I can think of is, there things are already planned, and initially itself we would have frozen the scope. So anything that comes, it should go through all the.
So you're telling that the agile manifesto saying that responding to change over following a plan is wrong. Do you mean by that saying, because you're telling that you have a plan, there's a change coming in, and now the plan has to have a upper hand? Is that what you mean, Sylvie?
No. I don't want to debate on the Agile manifesto. No, actually, the thing is, we want to respond to changes. That's why we started following Agile, right? So there, we used to follow something called as change control board. We take it as a change request, and we start working on that if it is really required. That follows a process. But here, we don't have any such a process, but we need to somewhere identify how many such items are coming. Otherwise it will be like too difficult for anyone to manage it in a sprint cycle, right? We can follow it in Kanban. That is possible in Kanban. This is possible. We don't mind if something is coming as an additional scope, because backlog will be keep getting added, and it is basically a pull mechanism. But here the situation is slightly different. We wanted to adapt to changes. We wanted to welcome the changes that are coming on our way. But at the same time, we somewhere need a measure how often it's coming and how often it is affecting the team. For example, whenever there is a scope change, whenever there is a scope creep, team is getting disturbed because they want to stop the activity, whomever they are working, they want to immediately. It is basically task switching. Many of us may not be so comfortable in doing that. It needs some time for us to again start with something new. So is that affecting our overall commitment? Because why we are taking this as metric is, maybe in that particular sprint where there was a scope change, we were unable to achieve 100% commitment reliability, or maybe we are unable to uh, complete all our work. That's nothing but the commitment reliability at the end. The reason is not because we were unable to work or we had some other dependencies. It's because of the scope change. So it is okay to accept it, but where are we measuring it? That is the reason we follow the scope change. We are not saying that we will not pick that up or we will not take it at all, but this will help us to understand, okay, first 5 days if we are taking, it is not disturbing the team much. The team is able to focus and work. If it is at the end of the sprint, why do we even take it? Because anyway, another 3 days we are going to start the new sprint. Why can't we wait until and unless the already committed work item is moving to obsolete? If it is not obsolete, then it's okay, because anyway we have already worked 70% completed. Another 30% if we are completing, it will be okay. But if we introduce on 7th day, 8th day some other changes, it may disturb the team's flow. So that those things, this scope change and scope creep will help. And in addition, this scope change and scope creep is also one more continuous improvement for us in the area where we are doing the refinement, where we are doing the planning. Maybe we are not so serious about the priority. It is not necessary that every time requirement itself is changing. Maybe there is a miss from the product management side, that the priority has been missed out for particular item, and during the course of sprint execution we realize, no, this should be completed, then only we can take care of other items. That dependent work items list only we have forgotten. So these all are miss. So next time what we will do, okay, we will plan a kind of like already a mapping of the stories, which order it should go through, so that we will be knowing, okay, this story definitely should go now. That priority we will be knowing, so that we will not get into trouble at the mid of the sprint. So this also will help us. It's not about in from old how we have changed. From old it was little hard because the scope has been frozen, and the time and the budget would have been planned according to the scope in the traditional model. So anything that is added as a scope, we need to go through the change control board to get the stakeholders alignment and get their approval, and then move it as a additional scope. But here we say that we are following agile. Definitely we can add the scope or we can modify the scope. It is up to the current market trend, we can do that. But at the same time we should also stick to the time and budget. So how are we going to ensure that it is under our control? Because the three pillars of the project management, somewhere we need to manage that, the three constraints. So here we are using the scope change and scope creep to understand what are the changes happening and what is the root cause of the changes happening, and if there is a possibility, how can we avoid that in future, or how to do it in a better way. That is the whole idea of this. Anyone else wants to add anything more?
Sylvia, I have a quick question. So when you talk about obsoleting some feature or the thing which has already been committed, right, at initial stage, so whether descoping is also considered to be a scope creep?
This will not be considered as a scope creep, but we will add it in the scope creep metric. We add it in the scope creep because this also actually turns out to be altogether a new item. Because what happens if there is a complete obsolete feature that has been moved out from the sprint backlog? There are two options. One is, if you have enough set of items in your backlog, you can directly pull it and you can start working on it. And there is also a chance this may replace one unknown item, because this obsolete this requirement or this feature would have been made as obsolete because of some reason. That some reason may be what, instead of this doing this, can we do this? Like for example, you have barcode scanning implementation in as a feature in one of the sprint. You also started working, that is the scope. Suddenly there is a change, no, remove that barcode scan. The product is going with only QR code scan. So now you have no other option. You need to remove this at the same time, because this is no more valid, the barcode scanning. But at the same time, you need to add this also. If it is not if something else is not getting added, that is different item. That is not a problem at all. But if something else is adding, then that is also making your team into a mode that why this is not taken care. Here it is a completely maybe a market decision or something. So if the obsolete requirement is going out without any disturbance, which means we are removing that, but at the same time there are items coming from the product backlog just to balance the amount of time we have, then it is fine. But if this absolute requirement has gone out and one more unknown is coming in, instead here QR code scanning, we never thought of, we never did any refinement, we never, it's complete unknown for us. In that situation, it is going to be a creep.
Okay, okay. In case if I mean they told about barcode generation, but we haven't discussed anything about barcode generation. But there is a scope which is already exists, and no stories been created for that till now. Okay, but later on stage when we started talking about barcode generation, we came to know that we don't have a scope which is involved in this project, so they are removing, and there is no additional a scope which is going to be added up like QR code. It is not going to add up. In that case, it will not be a scope creep, right?
Yes, but see, generally scope creep we will be calculating during the execution, not for the refinement or not during
Okay,
the plan. So
okay, okay.
in your question, you have not even committed on any of the barcode related stories. You are still discussing with your team in the form of refinement. So here, even though instead of A, you are going to talk about B, it is not going to really affect, because you are in the refinement stage, because the refinement stage is all about that, right? Because sometimes team only will suggest, why can't we do this? This seems to be an added advantage, right? Why can't we check it with our stakeholders and get back? So there, all the improvisation happens, and that meeting is meant for that, not only for requirement elaboration and understanding, it is also to come up with any new discussions that will also strengthen our backlog for future releases as well. So that is
Okay, okay.
But when we commit on the sprint backlog and we are doing the execution, there is a chance if these kind of changes that will disturb our execution. That's where we will calculate scope change and scope creep, just to avoid that in future. But at the same time, we should also have some space or the openness to pick it up any kind of changes that are going to come during the execution. Two things we need to take care.
Okay, I got it. It's clear now. Thank you so much.
Selvi, I have a question. This is from the reporting kind of, point of view. Okay, so consider a scenario. I am a Scrum Master and I am running a project for some customer. And what happens is initially, the plan is made for like based on approximate, the product backlog and approximate estimates. We have said like suppose 140 story points and we will deliver in like 7 sprints, something like that. Okay, so considering velocity is approximate 20 and things are going smooth, close to whatever it is estimated, some with some different deviation, but we look good in terms of the initial estimates. But imagine the case where from sprint 4th or 5th in between, the new requests start flowing in from customer, like because by that time we are even the customer is getting better understanding of how the product is looking, and then there are some new changes coming in. We are also estimating what is the new change, but obviously if work is getting added, the work, it is going to extend for more sprints, right? So it's given that the work is more, customer is also addressing that. But how do we quantify that? Because at the end, from if we are a service provider, we may want to quantify that this is how much was the extended work that we provided from whatever we had committed, that kind of a thing. I understand it is not a hard and fast scope, but still in terms of reporting, I'm sure it is expected that we publish those numbers, right? So how to go about that as a Scrum Master? Because I think it will be a Scrum Master's duty to portray that, this was the variance that we adopted and things like that. I hope
Any-
my question was clear.
Yeah. I got your question. Anyone else wants to take this question?
Can you repeat it? I mean, I just missed it.
Yeah. So the question is like this: what now we are talking about, right? That scope creep is like there are changes. I mean, there are new features or new product backlog items which are coming in, which were not even initially were not even on our horizon. That could be a reason because of the some product requirements or genuine market changes that we have to respond to and things like that. So the question is like this: suppose we have a project, initial estimate is for 140 points, we can deliver in 7 sprints. Okay, this is just an example. And we start working on it, considering velocity as 20. And in between 4th or 5th sprint, as we are getting better understanding, and when customer is getting better understanding of the project, they come up with some different changes. I mean, they ask us to provide some additional features. Every sprint they are coming up with like, we also want this, can you also take up this, like that. And we analyze those requirements, and it is doable also. But obviously it is going to take longer time, more than 7 sprints, and it is addressed by customer also. But at the end of the project, or whenever, right, periodically when we are reporting our progress or as a service provider, how do we put that in report? I mean, I'm asking how to quantify that in terms of reporting. Is there any practice that has to be followed, or a technique to be followed like that?
See, Sonal,
Yeah.
Agile is tough. Sonal, the classical project management, right, where you have a plan, now you have a set of people, you work towards it. That is comparatively easier. Agile is supposed to be tough.
Yeah.
But the advantage with Agile is, at least what was initially the vision was, you would be able to get quick feedback and respond, right? If you again, if you look at the Agile manifesto, it's about you have a plan. Nobody stops you from having a plan. But if there is a change, you try to respond to that. You try to respond to that so that the customer or the end client is beneficial of this change in priority, right? Now, this is tricky because this moves from a science point of view to a art point of view. When you say science point of view, if you look at the PMP certification, right, which is a great certification for the classical project management. Now, there they say fixed states, and they have fixed what to say
Cost or
exactly, right? So they something
scope,
like
cost or timing. Yeah.
all those things they have there. Now Agile says, yeah, we are okay with that, but we are a newfound faith, right? It's more like following a religion. It's a newfound faith which says that we want the what is, we want the customer to be happy. We want the client to succeed. There are now that may seem superficial to a lot of people, Sonal.
I mean, in practical scenario, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but you consider a scenario if you are a service provider and
that is where you need to understand that is not what is Agile. Agile doesn't care whether you're a service provider or who you are. Agile always believes that you have.
But how do you justify? No.
See. the thing is, right, there are multiple kinds of people in the world, Sonal. Some people, they don't want to do any work. They want to get a lot of money. They want to stay happy. Okay. There's another group of people who want to say, who want to do the right amount of work for the salary they are getting. Okay. And there are another group of people who say that salary is important, work is also important. I want to do the best I can and get the best I can. Okay. Now, these are all very tricky states, Sonal. So if you come asking for questions, right, like saying that, okay, this is what I can give only like 100 rupees. I want to start a company like Apple freshly. Now there will be a lot of companies who will give you tender, who will tell that yes, we can. Okay. And they will actually try to do that also. But only if you start considering that money is a significant factor, and you need to do some things for people to feel satisfied where they are, you can go for the next level, right? Now, if you bring in that, okay, I am in a services organization. In services organization, we try to spend less money, and we try to get more work, and we try to do all those things. Now,
no, it's not about that. I mean, it's not like you want to get more money with less work. It's just that somewhere as a Scrum Master, I will be asked, like, if we have done extra amount of work, can you quantify that? I mean, it is addressed, it is additional scope.
No, Sonal. So that is where you see, you're doing the groundwork. Okay, you are where you are facing the bosses that you are facing. You are working with the people that you are working. So I'm away from that, right? I'm not somebody who can tell you anything about that. But what I can tell you is what is Agile, right? I can tell you what is Agile. I can tell you what is Scrum. I can, but see, always the key thing about Agile is, okay, forget Agile. About Scrum is it's empirical. Okay, Scrum says whatever problem you face is your own problem. You are free to experiment, find out what you can do, and based on that, evolve. So that's what Scrum says. Now, me as an outsider who looks at somebody trying to follow Scrum or Agile, I will be asking these questions like, why are you following Agile? Okay, so that's the first question. Why are you following Agile? Okay, now you will be telling that my organization is following Agile, so I am following Agile. Now, next question I will ask you is, you are in a critical point that the company has employed you as a Scrum Master or Agile coach, whatever, right? So they expect you to take some tough calls, tough decisions. They pay you so much because they believe in you. They believe that you will do something. Now that comes to yourself. So what are you willing to do? How much are you willing to risk? Now, the easier thing to do, right, is to follow whatever is actually happening, already happening, right? Whichever organization you are in, already something is happening. Already somehow your team is functioning. Somehow the coaches are doing something. Somehow something is happening. You can follow the same flow. If everybody is creating dashboards or reports, you can follow the same reports. You can ask your colleagues, you can ask your team itself, like, okay, how do you present it in a better format? They will give you suggestions. You can do that. Now you can do that. That's your call, right? You can do that, and you can feel happy with that, and you can feel satisfied with that.
I am getting the gist of what is your point, and I totally agree, but I am a bit confused, like, do people face this? Because I'm sure people are facing
people face it. People face it everywhere.
As a community, I am just trying to get pointers. I mean,
no, you are not alone, Sonal. So but see, the one thing is, slightly different, right? Different organizations will have slightly different problems, but all Scrum Masters everywhere are facing the same problem, because everybody around is thinking in terms of a different, having a different mindset, Sonal.
Yeah.
Because see, the classical project management did not come up 1 or 2 days or 10 or 20 years back. It is there from millions of years back, Sonal. So it is it's always a mindset that if you want to accomplish something in your life, you need to have a plan. So that is what has been the proverb from time immemorial. So the Agile says that you have a plan, but you also have the mindset that you need to respond to change. So that is pretty new, right? That is something that came in the last 2-3 decades.
Yeah.
Now you will be surrounded by people who say or who feel that you're wrong. Now that's a tough situation, right? That's a tough situation.
See,
So
where I'm coming from is, I'm sure everybody is facing that what is said by Agile by books and what is getting implemented on ground. It's a transformation. It's a matter of mindset change, and it will take time. I totally agree. But as a community, I'm seeking pointers, or if I don't know, maybe this is not the right forum to ask this.
oh no
It comes down
no
to
no this is the right forum. Maybe I'm not the right guy, but this forum is the right forum. Okay. So
because this is a problem. I see that mindset transformation, until it is going to definitely take time, but the business has to run, right?
Sonal, I will tell you something. Okay, I will tell you something that I believe is key to agile and agile transformation. Okay, so which I fully appreciate, and that point is whatever works for you is the right way or the right path for you, Sonal. So nobody can tell that you are wrong. That's you are the person who, see, if you look at Scrum as the empirical process and all, right? What it says is, you experiment, you stay in the zone, you are the person who is the right person to take the decision.
All right.
Nobody can tell you you're right, you're wrong. No, and you don't have to appreciate their thought process at all. You are in the war zone, or you are in the working place. Whatever decisions you take are the right decisions. But the only thing you need to consider is, okay, all this agile, you need to consider about the principles, policies that agile says. You need to look at the Scrum principles, and that's all in. It has to be. They talk about swans, right? If you ever look at swans, so they float like like butter on water, but they will be, their feet will be rapidly working as hell below the water. They talk about swans or ducks or whatever, right?
Correct.
That is about Scrum Master. So see, it's a tough job. It is a tough job. Nobody can tell you what you need to do.
Right.
But you need to think, you need to feel like, oh, okay, man, my team is doing something wrong. Let me see how I can help my team. How can I help my team? Now, nobody will appreciate you, Sonal, except yourself. So that is where the difference comes between a project manager and a Scrum Master, right? A project manager is defined by what he delivers at the end, right? But the Scrum Master is defined by what he or she is at this moment, right now, right? So yeah, it's a bit tricky, Sonal. So
understand.
Don't look left, don't look right, don't look at anybody else. Whatever you're doing, if that helps your team and that helps your organization, what you're doing is right.
Okay.
But sorry to cut. Add upon. People, if anybody is having a call or have to leave, you can leave. I will just add few points and then we will wind up the call.
Sure.
Sonal, I mean, actually, see, I'm not a Scrum guy or a PMO guy, PMP guy. So I'm a little bit diluted because of all the job description I took up is on the mix and match kind of thing. Okay,
Okay.
like you, I've faced many challenges. Um, Ideally speaking, this is more of a program or a pre-sales teams scenario. Okay, so initially what we do is whenever I get this kind of thing, I mean, so what I meant is whenever I take a scenario, I clearly define the case. I try to see whether the requirement is clear. If the requirement is clear, I give the customer two path. So either a customer or stakeholder, whoever is in your I mean in your team, so ideally what I tell them is, if the requirement is clear, I will ask them, I will give them two path. Either you want to follow Scrum or project management. So that is done. For the requirement which is unclear, the scenario which you are talking about, I clearly tell them, okay, see, I give you overall approximate budget. Okay, so for this requirement, currently I can take up to 3 months time. Like if you
Yeah.
convert it into sprint or cycle, whatever you want to do it. I'm just giving a basic idea, but you can put as per your thing, whether you're following PMP or you're following Scrum, anything for that matter. Okay, I clearly set up a meeting, say that okay, you are developing in something new, and for me, for my team, which as per the analysis, it is going to take 3 months time. Okay, if at all, if my team finds that okay, this is not feasible at give after a month's time, or you are adding any requirement or changes, it may prolong. So that expectation has to be set with the client, entire team has to agree upon. So that is the first meeting we arrange and set an expectation. So if you have that expectation set initially before picking up any project in this world, then the scenario which you're talking about will not come into picture.
Okay.
Yeah, just to add on what Madhi said, practically everyone faces this, Sonal. This is a common problem because that's how Agile also works, right?
Right.
So we generally need to work it in the way that we are accepting the things that's happening around us. So what generally happens here is like, as Madhi mentioned, the same thing. Initially plan a scope baseline document. And against that document only, you will be preparing your project timeline. Okay, I'm not telling in Agile or any methodology. If you follow, this should be the practice. So you have some scope document, and some 10 features are available, and you have planned for 6 months. Okay, and with these many number of people, that is the plan. When you are sharing the plan and the timeline, you need to be very, very sure you are adding two elements. One is your assumption and another one is the risk. People generally add risk. Sometimes what we will do, okay, anyway, these all things are known, right? Why to keep it as assumption? We will miss. But always add something called as assumption. Point number one in the assumption should be, against the scope document what I have attached, or the baseline document I have attached, this is the project timeline. Any changes in the scope will deviate the entire plan.
Right.
Don't even say will deviate the timeline. Who knows whether your team is knowing how complex that feature that they are going to add, and what are the risks that you may need to face, and what is the time that you need to spend, whether you have skill set for implementing that feature. We all don't know, right?
Yeah.
See, today 10 features are for Android. Tomorrow 11th feature is coming, support feature 1 2 3 in iOS. Okay, now you don't have the skilled person in your team. You don't have, you have only Android developers, you don't have iOS developer. In that case, how you will manage?
Right.
Now, so you don't say it will deviate the time, or it will deviate the cost, it will deviate something specific. Generally put the statement, it will deviate the entire plan. It may or may not change, but it is an assumption, right? According to you, you are assuming this is my scope, this is the plan. If scope you add, then automatically my timeline also will add. Now, this is the first thing you will submit. Let's see, let's take like after 1 month, there is a scope that is getting changed. First thing you need to do is go to the same documents, which was earlier version 1.0. Now that will transform to version 2.0. you should maintain versions. That is the purpose of using versioning tools.
Right.
When things are keep on changing, you anytime go and see, the only 10 features we have planned, now there are 15. Oh, automatically we need extra 3 months, right? Okay, understood. Like that, it should give some logical justification for anyone who is going to visit that numbers. So version 2.0, what is version 2.0? Keep as it is, because version 1.0 items are not changed. Version 2.0, what are the things that are getting changed? Please add that. Revisit on your assumptions again. Still now the first line is not at all going to change till your project is going for closure, because anytime you can make only plan for the things that is available in front of you, right? You don't know, you cannot plan for things that will come after 1 month or 2 months. That is out of our control, but we should support it because we are living in the world where changes are must.
Yeah.
So we cannot avoid that, but how to handle that is the strategy here. Now, when you are saying version 2.0, you should not share the problem to your stakeholders. Your problem is now what? You have so and so budget, you have so and so time, but you have extended scope now. Give what are the possible solutions to manage within this time frame. First thing is, according to the previous version 1.0, the priority of item 7, 8, 9 are low, which comes under the category of nice to have. Why can't you talk to your product management team to pull out those things if there is a possibility? You initiate that.
Okay.
It is not necessary always product management team will be looking for. You ask like, hey, last time out of 10, you guys think all 10 are required. Why can't we actually look for the prioritization again? Out of this extra 5 items that you are trying to add, compare with those 10 items. What should be really required? What can be still nice to have? One option you should give. So you are trying to give some solution. Second thing, why can't we add the team? Because if you want to have this timeline only, if there is a budget possibility, you put that statement. Like, if there is a budget possibility, why can't we increase our team strength? If we are adding, ask your technical team, if we want to work on this 5 work items, what is the plan? Keep it separate. Merge with the 10 plus 5 plan. You can say like, okay, this plan is going to extend for extra 3 months, but if so and so people are getting added, you cannot be the right person to decide on the number of people. That's why I'm asking, your technical architect or your technical lead and your entire team should help you on that.
Got it.
So you are trying to find some solutions which you cannot really find actual solution, where you need to either talk to your product management team, get their flavor, whether any prioritization is possible on the items. Second thing, is there any possibility that we can extend the team? And the third option is there in the 10 items, can we have any option to reduce the scope for any of the items?
Correct.
Like, for example, as I mentioned in the previous example also, login has forgot password and many other things. Maybe first time we thought, okay, we will give everything, but now these additional 5 features getting into limelight, can we remove certain things which already we have planned? Is there any option? Talk to your product management team. One is on deprioritizing certain things which have been already prioritized. Second thing is reducing the scope of already planned items. Third one is extending your team. And fourth option, obviously it's a known option, extending the timeline if it is feasible. So you just need to mention, considering all the factors. It's not only the development effort, you should consider your testing effort, you should consider your documentation effort. If there is a localization, you should consider your localization effort. If there is a need, that whole that verification and validation phase also will get extended because there are more features to test now. So all those things you should consider and prepare that plan. But anytime when you are sharing version 2.0, possible solutions and keep the action owners. Need to get back from product management team. Need to get back from product management team on the deprioritization. All those things you capture it, so that it is not only we are, I asked something, yeah, possible, but there are a lot of hiccups there. It should not give that kind of impression. Instead, it will give an impression, okay, it is possible. There are also options available for us that will give much more confidence to people when they read the plan. So out of that, whatever it's feasible, we will pick that up and proceed on that.
Amazing. Okay. Okay, Selvi. This sounds like something that can be practically done, and without putting pressure on the Scrum Master themselves, because as a role we don't have enough capacity to decide anything, but ultimately we are somehow responsible to report. So yeah, I like this approach. Thank you, Selvi.
Yeah, just plan with people, involve your team so that
Uh-huh.
everyone will be feeling that they are also participating in the plan, because it's not necessary we alone will be preparing for the plan. It is like everyone will be participating, so that as a whole we will get with as a whole team alignment, we will prepare something. So
Yes.
it is also like everyone we feel like accountable for the plan, right? So everyone
Right.
is making means, so that will give much more feel for everyone. Okay, fine, yeah, this is the plan, we should stick to that, and what are the hiccups coming, we should resolve that. So that kind of automatic feel will be coming
Okay.
up when we
Yeah.
align as a team.
So Sonal, I'll also be in the group, Sonal, so don't be so happy. I will talk to you after maybe 6 months. You give feedback.
No, I mean, I see, this is like, it's an open, I mean, like you said, right, there is no right solution. You have to, it's
Sure.
up to individual how they go about it. But I'm just
Sure.
looking for a, like, at
Sure,
least some
sure,
standard.
sure, Sonal. So only thing I want is you have to stick around for more time. So
Yeah.
many people in the group, right? They stick around for some time and then they become, they grow up and then they leave the group. So you stick around, stay more time, advise the young people who join. And 6 months from now, I note the date. We will see how how you feel. Okay.
Okay, Arun. I will try to do that. I mean, I want to stick around. It's just, let's see how. I am new. I'm absolutely new in this, so I hope I can learn and help others also.
Sure, Sonal. Thank you. Sonal.
Thank you, Arun. Yeah, Selvi, I think we can drop off, right, today?
Yeah, I think is Madhi available?
Hello. Yeah, Selvi.
Yeah. Madhi, can we drop off?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we will talk.
Sure. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye bye.